Tiny tomatoes frustrate people every single season, and almost everyone points the finger in the wrong direction, blaming seeds, cloudy weather, insects, or some mysterious nutrient deficiency, when in reality, the problem is usually happening in the first 12 to 18 inches below the surface where no one bothers to look. The truth is that tomato plants are capable of producing fruit that weighs 300 grams, 500 grams, even well over a pound in large beefsteak varieties. Yet most backyard growers end up harvesting golf ball-sized fruit from plants that look busy and leafy but never truly powerful. The reason has less to do with what gets sprinkled on top of the soil and more to do with what roots encounter when they try to expand downward. Tomatoes are classified botanically as Solanum lycopersicum, and they evolved in regions of western South America where soils were loose, mineral-rich, and biologically active. In those conditions, roots could dive deep, branching aggressively and forming dense networks capable of pulling steady moisture and nutrients even during dry spells. Modern garden beds, by contrast, are often compacted, layered, and biologically thin. When tomato roots hit dense subsoil or lifeless ground, they stall. Growth above ground slows, flowers abort. Fruit remains small, and no amount of surface fertilizer can compensate for a root system that never had the space or oxygen to develop properly. That is where the $2 hack comes in, and it sounds almost too simple to matter. Plain, untreated cardboard placed strategically beneath your tomato at planting time. Not glossy packaging, not heavily inked material. Basic brown corrugated cardboard with all tape and labels removed. Used correctly, it transforms the root zone from a shallow feeding tray into a deep, moisture-holding, microbe-rich engine that fuels dramatic fruit size, increases over time. Cardboard is primarily composed of cellulose, a complex carbon compound derived from wood fibers. When buried beneath the planting hole, it does not decompose rapidly like fresh grass clippings that can heat up and temporarily tie up nitrogen. Instead, it breaks down gradually. Soil microbes colonize it first. Fungi begin weaving microscopic threads through it. Bacteria follow. Earthworms are drawn toward it because decomposing carbon becomes a buffet for soil life. As those organisms consume and process the material, they convert it into humus, the dark, crumbly organic matter that improves soil structure, increases cation exchange capacity, and enhances nutrient retention. Humus is not a quick boost, it is a structural upgrade. Research on soil organic matter consistently shows that even a 1% increase in organic matter can significantly improve water holding capacity, particularly in sandy soils, and can improve aggregation in heavier soils. Aggregated soil allows oxygen to move more freely, and oxygen at the root level is essential for respiration. Roots do not function in suffocating ground. They need air as much as they need nutrient. When a soaked sheet of cardboard is placed at the bottom of a deep planting hole, it performs three functions simultaneously. First, it acts as a moisture reservoir, absorbing water during irrigation or rain and releasing it slowly upward. Second, it creates a carbon layer that stimulates microbial growth exactly where deep roots are heading. Third, it slows nutrient leaching, especially in container systems where soluble nutrients often wash out through drainage holes after heavy watering. Preparation matters. The cardboard must be fully saturated before it goes into the ground. Dry cardboard can repel water initially and create air gaps, which defeats the purpose. Soaking it thoroughly ensures that once buried, it bonds with surrounding soil and begins interacting immediately with moisture and microbes. All plastic tape must be removed. Any glossy coatings should be avoided because they can contain clays or synthetic layers that resist decomposition. The planting method itself is equally important. Dig deeper than usual. 30 to 40 centimeters is ideal, roughly 12 to 16 inches. That depth encourages the plant to establish a serious root system rather than hovering near the surface. Once the hole is prepared, lay the soaked cardboard flat at the bottom. On top of that, add about 5 centimeters, roughly 2 inches, of finished compost. This compost layer acts as a bridge, giving young roots immediate access to nutrients while microbial communities begin working on the cardboard beneath. Now comes one of the most powerful biological advantages tomatoes possess: their ability to form adventitious roots along buried stems. Those small bumps visible on tomato stems are latent root initials waiting for contact with soil. When you plant a tomato deeply and bury 1/3 to 2/3 of the stem, those bumps transform into roots, dramatically expanding the plant's nutrient-absorbing capacity. More roots mean more water uptake, more mineral access, and ultimately more energy allocated toward fruit development rather than survival. Backfill the hole with native soil lightly amended with compost. Firm gently to remove large air pockets and water deeply. That first watering is critical. It settles soil around the stem and activates the moisture-holding properties of the cardboard layer below. In containers, this technique can be even more dramatic. Use pots that hold at least 20 liters and ideally 30 liters or more for indeterminate varieties. Before adding your soil mix, place a soaked cardboard layer at the bottom. Container systems often suffer from rapid nutrient leaching because water drains quickly through limited soil volume. The cardboard slows that process, functioning like a sponge and long-term carbon bank. Many growers report that container tomatoes grown with this method outperform those planted directly in average garden beds because root environments remain more stable. Soil composition above the cardboard must support airflow and microbial life. A reliable ratio is 3 parts high-quality potting mix to 1 part compost, with optional additions of worm castings. Worm castings provide plant-available nutrients in gentle concentrations and contain beneficial microbes that enhance nutrient cycling. Heavy garden soil should be avoided in containers because it compacts easily, reducing oxygen diffusion and limiting root expansion. Water management becomes easier once this system is in place. Instead of shallow, frequent watering that encourages roots to remain near the surface, deep watering encourages roots to chase moisture downward into the carbon-rich layer. Consistency is key. Tomatoes experiencing irregular moisture are prone to blossom end rot, a physiological disorder linked to inconsistent calcium transport within the plant, and to fruit cracking when dry conditions are followed by heavy watering. A stable underground sponge moderates those swings. Mulch completes the system. Apply a thick layer of straw, shredded leaves, or untreated wood chips around the plant, keeping a small gap around the stem to prevent rot. Mulch reduces evaporation, regulates soil temperature, and gradually contributes additional organic matter as it breaks down. In hot weather, it can lower soil surface temperatures significantly, protecting shallow feeder roots while deep roots explore the enriched zone below. Sunlight remains non-negotiable. Tomatoes require full sun, ideally 8 or more hours daily. Larger fruiting varieties, especially beefsteaks capable of exceeding 450 grams per fruit, perform best with 10 to 12 hours of strong light. Light drives photosynthesis, and photosynthesis produces the sugars that ultimately swell fruit cells. Even in warm climates, shade reduces yield and fruit size. Heat alone does not compensate for insufficient light intensity. Support must be installed early. As fruit size increases, vines become heavy and vulnerable to breakage. Cages, stakes, or trellising systems, such as a Florida weave, keep foliage off the soil, improve air circulation, and reduce disease pressure. Waiting until plants are already loaded with fruit can damage stems and limit airflow, increasing fungal risks. Selective pruning can also influence fruit size. Removing lower leaves that touch soil reduces disease entry points. Thinning excessive side shoots on indeterminate varieties channels energy into fewer fruits, often increasing their final weight. Balance matters. Removing too much foliage reduces photosynthetic capacity. Leaving plants completely unpruned can create dense tangles that shade developing fruit and limit airflow. Over time, the cardboard layer does more than feed one season's crop. As it decomposes fully, it leaves behind stable organic matter that improves soil structure year after year. Worm populations increase, soil becomes darker and more friable. Instead of exhausting the planting site, tomatoes often perform better in subsequent seasons because the biological foundation has strengthened. Mistakes can blunt the effect. Using coated cardboard, skipping the soaking step, planting too shallowly, or over-fertilizing with high nitrogen inputs can shift the plant's energy toward excessive leaf production at the expense of fruit size. The goal is not explosive foliage, but sustained root health and balanced nutrient availability. When harvest time arrives, pick tomatoes fully colored, yet still firm. Early morning harvests often yield fruit at peak hydration. Regular picking encourages continued flowering and fruit set, especially in indeterminate varieties that produce overextended periods. Tiny tomatoes are rarely a mystery. They are usually a signal that the underground system was never built to support something bigger. Change the foundation, and the plant responds. That is the power of a $2 sheet of cardboard placed exactly where it matters most. If this underground strategy shifts how you think about soil, stay with Heritage Harvest, because once roots are handled correctly, the next level of growth is about precision above ground, and that is where size can multiply again. Once the root zone is stable and biologically active, the difference between average tomatoes and massive vine-bending fruit often comes down to strategy rather than effort. Many growers unintentionally push plants toward lush foliage instead of heavy harvests because they misunderstand how nutrient balance shifts throughout the season. Nitrogen fuels leafy growth. Early in a tomato's life, that is useful because leaves function as solar panels, capturing light and converting it into sugars. However, excessive nitrogen once flowering begins can delay fruit set and lead to large plants with surprisingly small harvests. Fertilizers labeled with NPK ratios reveal their nutrient balance. A product such as Espoma Organic Tomato Tone, rated 346, contains relatively modest nitrogen compared to phosphorus and potassium. Phosphorus supports root and flower development, while potassium enhances fruit formation and overall plant resilience. During early vegetative growth, moderate nitrogen is acceptable. As soon as clusters of yellow blossoms appear, transition to a formula lower in nitrogen and higher in phosphorus and potassium. This shift encourages energy to move from leaf production into fruit development. Overfeeding, particularly with high nitrogen synthetic fertilizers, often results in impressive foliage that hides disappointingly small fruit. Feeding the soil biology rather than force-feeding the plant produces steadier results. Compost tea made by steeping 1 cup of finished compost in approximately 5 liters of water for 12 to 24 hours can be applied around the base of plants every 2 weeks once flowering begins. Stirring occasionally during steeping helps oxygenate the solution. This mild infusion introduces beneficial microbes and soluble nutrients without overwhelming the root system. Planting technique also influences size dramatically. Deep planting, already discussed in the root foundation phase, can be adapted for cooler climates by checking soil temperatures at depth. Tomato roots prefer soil temperatures consistently above 13 degrees Celsius, about 55 degrees Fahrenheit, with optimal growth closer to 16 degrees Celsius or 60 degrees Fahrenheit. In regions where deep soil remains cold in spring, planting seedlings horizontally in a shallow trench can achieve similar root expansion while avoiding cold, subsoil shock. As the season progresses and frost looms roughly 4 weeks away, topping indeterminate tomato plants can redirect energy from new vertical growth into ripening existing fruit. Removing the growing tips signals the plant to concentrate on maturing what it has already set. This practice is particularly useful in shorter growing seasons where late fruit may otherwise remain green when cold weather arrives. Speaking of green fruit, ethylene management becomes valuable at the end of the season. Apples and bananas release ethylene gas, a natural plant hormone that triggers ripening. Placing mature green tomatoes in a single layer inside a cardboard box with a ripe apple or banana can accelerate color development. Position tomatoes blossom end up because that end typically ripens first and is more prone to softening. Check daily. Once ethylene triggers ripening, the process accelerates quickly and cannot be reversed. Variety selection influences harvest timing and size expectations. Cherry tomatoes, such as Sun Gold, often mature in about 57 days from transplant, while many hybrid beefsteaks require 70 days or more, and some heirloom varieties may exceed 80 to 85 days. Planting varieties with staggered maturity dates spreads harvest windows naturally. Alternatively, planting the same variety in intervals of 2 to 4 weeks can prevent overwhelming surges of fruit that outpace consumption or preservation capacity. Large fruited varieties demand more light. Beefsteak tomatoes capable of exceeding 1 pound per fruit typically require 10 to 12 hours of strong sunlight daily to achieve maximum size. Smaller cherry or currant types tolerate slightly less light and still produce abundantly. Positioning large varieties in the sunniest locations and reserving marginal spots for smaller types optimizes total yield. Space management can increase both size and variety diversity. Training tomatoes to a single or double leader concentrates growth and allows tighter spacing, sometimes 16 to 18 inches apart rather than 24 to 36 inches, typical for unpruned plants. With disciplined pruning, gardeners can fit more plants into the same bed, experiment with additional varieties, and still maintain airflow and sunlight penetration. Early fruit production often increases because energy is focused into fewer main stems. Cloning offers another advantage when time is limited. Removing a healthy sucker, placing it in water or moist seed-starting mix, and allowing it to root can produce a genetically identical plant in roughly 2 to 4 weeks less time than starting from seed. Because tomatoes root readily from stem tissue, cloning can extend harvests or multiply a favorite variety late in the season. For those interested in flavor intensity as well as size, dry farming presents an advanced option in specific climates. In regions with heavy clay soils that retain winter moisture and receive sufficient late winter rainfall, tomatoes can be planted early and gradually hilled with soil, while irrigation is withheld. This forces roots to penetrate deeply in search of moisture. While yields may decrease compared to irrigated systems, many growers report intensified flavor due to mild water stress, concentrating sugars, and organic acids. This technique is climate-specific and requires careful observation, yet it demonstrates how root behavior shapes fruit quality. Harvest timing affects both size perception and flavor. Allow fruit to reach full color on the vine while remaining firm to the touch. Harvesting regularly stimulates continued flowering and fruit set. Leaving overripe fruit on the plant can signal that reproduction is complete, slowing new production. All of these techniques build upon the same principle. Tomatoes respond dramatically when their root systems are deep, their nutrient balance is correct, their light exposure is maximized, and their growth is guided with intention rather than guesswork. A $2 sheet of cardboard initiates the transformation below ground, but disciplined feeding, pruning, spacing, and harvesting amplify that effect above ground. Tiny tomatoes do not have to be the norm. With structural soil improvement, strategic fertilization, intelligent variety planting, and deliberate plant management, fruit size can increase several-fold compared to neglected systems. The difference often feels disproportionate to the effort involved because the most powerful changes happen at planting time and through small seasonal adjustments rather than expensive inputs. If this completely changes the way you look at tomato plants, from something you feed on the surface to something you engineer from the soil up, then you are exactly the kind of grower this channel was built for. Heritage Harvest is where old school wisdom meets practical, proven technique, where small, affordable shifts create harvests that look almost unfair compared to the average backyard patch. So stay connected, dig deeper with us, and pass this along to that friend who keeps chasing miracle fertilizers and flashy shortcuts, because real size does not come from hype. It comes from understanding how roots, light, nutrients, and timing all work together beneath the surface. The next time someone asks how your tomatoes got that big, you will know it was never about spending more. It was about growing smarter from the ground up.